as presented. Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
Bill? Seconder? Joan? Here's Amanda.
Was that Vernon and Joan?
I
Yes.
just found my screen again. You guys were, I just had totally a blank screen. So I'm back in the game.
Perfect. Okay, so Bill Farnell,
Muted.
I had a question.
Oh, sorry, Dixie Lee has a question.
okay.
Go ahead, Dixie Lee.
On page 4 of the minutes, I wonder if down near the bottom under next steps, 1, 2, 3, the third point the inclusion of the former director's report, and then did Pioneer Threshers and Hobby Association slip down? Should it be the end of the line above, additional letter of support from?
That would make sense.
just go in there now.
Amanda, do you see that?
I'm just going there now.
Yeah, okay.
Good point, Dixie Lee.
Next steps, point 4, inclusion of the form.
The point,
Ah,
Point
I see,
right?
yes. There should be a point there.
but
But it,
what Dixie Lee is saying is number 9, next steps.
Yep.
It says additional letter of support from the, and that should be the Huron Pioneer Threshers and Hawk Association from the next point. It should be part of that point, and then.
I
inclusion-
see,
You see
so
that?
yep, I'll move that up.
Just a copy paste. Cut
Yep,
paste.
sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
no, it's okay. Fine.
Good catch there. Okay,
Just don't be afraid to holler out if I don't see your hand, okay? Sometimes I get sidetracked here. Okay, Amanda, we'll turn it back to you.
yep, so if it's okay with Verna and Joan, the mover and seconder, to accept the minutes as amended, we can go forward. So Verna and Joan, are you okay with that change?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, so David Wall,
Yes.
Dixie Lee Arbuckle,
Yes.
Doug Kivenhoven, sorry,
Yes,
Joan Vandermeer,
Yes.
Paul Heffer,
Yes.
Verna Steffler,
Yes.
Betty Lou Call,
Yes.
and Bill Furnell.
yes.
That carries 8-0.
Okay, thank you. Now we're delegations, none. Now we're going to number 7, reports. I think Vicky has a report. Is she here? I don't see her on my
Here.
screen.
Sorry, I'm
Oh.
here. I just had to make sure I wasn't muted. And get
Okay, go ahead.
focused
Vicky,
here.
Thank you.
Sure. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just a couple things. As everyone's aware, we did have to amend the agenda, revise the agenda to reflect that we've received a letter from the Barn Dance Society. The letter has been attached to the proposal in the appendices. So we just wanted to point that out, that it's been included there. And then also, following the last meeting, staff met with the clerk and the CAO and the chairman and just kind of discussed the concerns that the committee has with respect to virtual presentations versus in-person presentations and things. And as reflected in the recommendation there, you can make that request of council that the presentation be in person. There were a few things though that we felt was important for you to keep in mind when making or when considering making that recommendation or approving that. One thing is our budget timeline. I did speak with the treasurer yesterday, and we will be submitting our first draft of our budgets for next year. The first draft is due on October the 22nd and things. So that's the first draft, and then we will start making presentations to council for 2022 budget in November and December. Usually we have a couple budget meetings and things, okay? So that's something to consider in terms of getting something into the budget. The other thing that we discussed was that next year is an election year. So in terms of the term of the committee, it's, you know, for the length of council, but just be aware that because we don't know when council's going back to in-person meetings and things, but just be aware that there is a chance that they could get into lame duck, which means they won't be able to make any financial decisions. It all depends on, you know, if people who are running and how many people are running and whether or not there's a lot of vacant positions or just a few positions as to whether or not they can make a decision to carry on to the next council. And thanks. They would be in lame duck around July or August of next year. It's usually about 3 months ahead of the election. So that was just some things that we wanted to make sure that you were aware of before, you know, preparing or looking over the recommendation today and approving anything. That those are some important things to consider when making that decision.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. Were there any questions for Vicky? Lou, go ahead.
Who proposes to council that we definitely want to be in a situation of face-to-face? Who does that?
Vicky, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. It will, I guess what, I probably should get clarification on it, but I would think what will happen is the minutes of the meeting, well, if you approve the recommendation and things, it'll be brought forward to the next meeting, correct, Amanda?
It'd be if a motion was approved, then that motion would go to the next meeting of
The next meeting
council,
council, yeah.
and the minutes would go to the second meeting.
Yeah, so that motion will be brought forward to council that the committee is requesting for that in-person, to be able to present in person. It won't be me bringing it forward. In fact, it may even be the chairman that has to bring it forward.
Go ahead, Lou.
Can that be done today?
The recommendation?
The go ahead from the committee, we're all here today. Can we propose to present it and have the person chosen who's going to present it and send it forth today?
Sorry, I'm just asking for clarification. Then are you talking about the recommendation that you'd be allowed to do in-person presentation? Is that what you're asking, Lou, or?
I'm saying I think we want it a little stiffer than that. I don't think we want to say, are we allowed? We would say we want to, but get it to them now with all of these concerns being in their field, not in ours.
Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, I think I can address that, Lou. The motion that we have in our agenda does say that, Lou, like it says, and that the committee hereby recommends delegation not be scheduled until the next in-person council meeting. So we're making it clear to them. Just FYI, I did talk to Reeve, to Trevor Sipe, who also works with them setting the agendas for the meetings. So they're very aware that the committee wants to present in person. So I think what your concerns are covered with what we're doing here today, Lou.
I'm just saying, Doug, I see no point of taking a step of waiting until the next meeting, I say, if you've done that and they have it in their hands, we have done everything we can do. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think everything's in place so that exactly what we're after can happen. And there's no need rushing it, Lou, because they're not meeting in person for a little while anyway. They have not yet made a decision to meet in person. So we've probably got a month or two before we even get to that stage. So there's lots of time for this information to flow through to the right people.
Well, and I'm also hearing Vicky say that, budget setting is going on. Well, their decision, as far as I can understand it, is going to definitely want to have approved, chosen, made a decision, and put it in their budget. I don't know how these things work, but I sure would not want to be caught up in saying that we have missed a step.
No, go ahead, Doug.
Lou, really, in fact, I was going to mention to Vicky, we probably won't impact the 2022 budget anyway. If this is approved, we've got a whole year of fundraising. No money gets spent until we raise the money. So this, from my perspective, there's no money, there's no impact on the 2022 budget. It would take to 2023 before there's any money required by the museum. We've got a whole year of fundraising ahead of us if, and that's optimistic 12 months. It's probably 18 months to raise the money. So there's really no effect. We're not going to ask for any staff time or anything. We just got to start, or whoever's going to do the fundraising, if it's approved. To me, it's a 2023. So I'm not worried about the budget. Lame duck July 2022. That's great. Certainly we'll be in person by then, or long before then, with council meetings. And so it might take to the end of this year or the first part of next year before we go in.
But Doug, speak to me in my ignorance. It's the decision that I think I want to know about. How long is that going to take? And yes, money might be raised after and all of that kind of thing. But when do you see, talking to the people that you talk to, when do you see that decision coming to any kind of closure?
Go ahead, Doug.
Well, I think what we see is we're the ones now stalling. We're going to wait for the first in person, or not the first. We don't get to get on the first in person, but when they go in person. So let's say they say, the numbers are looking good. In August, the council starts going in person, and they put us on the agenda for September. So then September we make the presentation. And we're not expecting a decision when we make the presentation. We figure it'll be 2 weeks after that, the following council meeting. And the way we've set this up is that we're going to invite them to come tour the train station. And so they'll tour the train station. We'll have a chance to talk to them again. And then possibly the next council meeting, or certainly within a month, they would make a decision. They know they need to make a decision. They're not going to delay this thing forever. And so they'll get the facts, they'll make the decision. Hopefully by the end of September, early October, a positive decision is made to proceed. And then it's back, the ball's back in the court of the committee or whoever's going to carry the ball to do the fundraising.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Vicky, you had your hand up. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's kind of adding to what Doug was saying there about the in-person meetings. We can't meet in person, have a in-person, well, there's no way we would be able to have any kind of in-person meetings till the fall based on the province's plan. Once we get to step 3, which is assuming everything proceeds as planned at the end of July, then we can move up to, I believe it's 10 people indoors or something like that. And I may be wrong on that, but it might be even more than that. I don't know. I'd have to see, because they have indoor gatherings versus outdoor gatherings and, all that stuff. So probably, yeah, Doug's probably right. Like I wouldn't see you guys doing an in-person presentation till the fall anyways. And I was just bringing that information to just for, you guys to think about it in terms of that. I guess the one thing with the budget information is that, if we were looking at doing the downsizing of the artifacts or anything like that. That could be happening simultaneously as the money being raised. But again, you know, it's kind of a timeline thing that the committee needs to decide. You know, if it's no, we'll get the money in place for the actual building and things first. That's fine. It's just making sure the committee's aware of different dates and things. That's all. It was just information.
Thank you, Vicky. Doug?
I mean, the one part of the motion that I kind of had hinted about was when I think when I sent it to you, Amanda, is that is if we wrote, like if we wrote in the motion that in the event that in-person meetings are still not available for the entire 2021 here, that in 2022, yes, 2022, we would then accept meeting via video, like, because we have no choice. But I don't know how you want to handle that. Can the chair just call a meeting then? Like if we get to the, you know, to November, December, and COVID is not looking good, and it doesn't look like we're going to go in person for a long time, then, you know, if we're back into some kind of lockdowns or something, then could the chair just call a meeting and then the committee meets again and discusses and decides, okay, we may have to go video. Is that possible to do then, Amanda or Paul?
Amanda, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just thinking on that.
It's a stickler, kind of
Yeah.
a sticky thing because of the way that your terms of reference is written up at this time. It's that you'll, you know, meet on a monthly basis until you met your mandate kind of thing.
Why wouldn't we just add that into our motion then? Like make our motion so that we don't have to meet again. Then it's just, if we can't meet in person by the end of the year, then we would meet via video in 2022 when the you know, when the Reeve and when cover decide.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think that part can be done. I think it's the call of the chair is what Amanda and I are kind of going, I'm not sure we can do that based on the terms of reference kind of thing, right? So, but in terms of what you're saying though, Doug, that then the presentation would be done then be virtually and things that could definitely be amended and presented as part of the recommendation.
Then at least we've got that base covered and we don't have to meet again to change our mind.
Then it's all covered then, if we could put that in. Is that all right with the committee? Like, should something be added there, Amanda?
Yep, we can discuss that for sure when we get to the motion part. I'm just wondering if Doug and Bill wanted to go through their presentation first, and then if there's any other things that come up, we can incorporate that too in the motion. Well, we won't forget about that.
Just first, no more questions for Vicky first, though. We don't want to let her off too easily. Oh, sorry, Joan, go ahead. You're on mute, Joan.
Vicky, I just want to make sure I understood that you said that the barn dance letter that we received yesterday has been incorporated into the report. Have you done that, Doug?
No, I'd have to just add that into the report.
Okay, as long as we make sure that it actually gets in there.
So what I would, through you, Mr. Chairman, so what I was saying is that it's been added as an appendices at the back of the report and added there. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
So, you know, we have your letters of support and things.
Yes.
The letter from the barn dance has been put there as well.
Oh, okay.
That sounds good. That's a great, if we can agree with that with the committee, that'd be good.
Okay, Bill, you had your hand up?
Yep. My question is, we also have, I think on page 6, our précis of what Dave had presented regarding items, etc., that the barn dance was going to donate to the new museum if it goes ahead. should we then just put there C, the letter at the end, like make a reference to that letter there?
Yeah. Vicky, agree that should work, right, Vicky?
Yeah, I think that would be fine as long as, yeah, as long as it's referenced and yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So no other questions for Vicky? Okay, we're going to 7.1. Doug and Bill.
Okay, I'm unmuted, okay. So my presentation, I mean, I gave it the last time, but I'm not gonna run through it again here. So my presentation basically stays the same as what we presented last time. The only thing I have is to add a mention about tourism grants. And I also, somebody mentioned to me that at some point in time, the Township of North Huron might be looking for additional office space for staff. So we've always been thinking along lines of, we just want, one staff person to be there in the train station and not ask for any more. But if in effect, the Township of North Huron needs more office space, there's an extra, there's the tower rooms, there's an extra tower room that is actually available for another staff person if they needed more room for staff, as well as the second floor. There's a ton of space up there. It used to be all with cubicles when Town and Country Homemakers had their finance department. It was their total finance department, and they had a whole bunch of cubicles up there. The plugs are still there where they all were in. So that's actually a selling feature that I can drop into my presentation, say, hey, by the way, in the event that the town is needing more office space for staff, it's actually available there. You don't have to go build another building or add to the back of town at all. You can actually put more staff there. So that might be a seed to plant there and to mention, and could also help to support the town to be in favor of proceeding with this. So I thought I would add that into my presentation. But I think that's about it. It was mentioned also to expand a bit more on that it's volunteer run. And so, yeah, so those are the only amendments that I'm looking at making to my presentation, but it basically stays the same as it was. On to you, Bill.
Okay. I too will not be making many changes to mine, but I want to thank various members of the committee for emails and suggestions to improve it. And so what I've added to my presentation are a couple of additions, but they're more like half sentences and clarifications. The message is still the same, and I have now written two beginnings for who I am. I haven't decided which one. The only thing that Doug and I think would need to meet on, and Doug is agreeable to, or understanding of this too, is that we haven't yet discussed what slides might be put in my part of the presentation, and that can be done at any time. Does that sound like enough for you guys?
Yeah, I think what Bill and I are looking for is that we've made the presentation, you know in general what we're speaking about, and if we can just be empowered to, when the day comes that we're actually going to do it, Bill and I get to meet, we get to polish it off, make sure we're all happy. The presentation will be either submitted, in time or it'll be run right off my laptop. In past, when I've done presentations to the Township Council, I've just brought my laptop, plugged in and ran the slides. So, so I'm not sure if there's any restrictions on that, but if the committee would, entrust Bill and I, power us to go ahead and do basically the presentation we gave to you with some minor tweaks, that would be our preference.
Okay, if everybody's fine with that, and I have Joan here for a question.
Bill, have you added in the benefit to the town of having the building donated to them?
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Any other? Boy, you're so easy to get along with. My good, that's good. Okay, now So no other questions for Bill or Doug, okay? Okay, so they gave the final report and presentations. Now we're on to the motion. I'll leave that into Amanda's care.
Yep, so I'm just looking at it now. Where do we want to put the wording for in-person? Where is that? Until the next in-person council meeting. How do we want to word until 2022 and being
Go ahead, Doug.
electronic?
Go ahead,
Okay,
Doug.
so, all right, so that sentence there, that's the second last paragraph of that motion. And further, that the committee hereby recommends that the delegation be scheduled until the next in-person meeting in 2021, comma, or something like that, in the event that that council is not able to meet in person in 2021, the committee would agree to meet via video at a scheduled meeting in early 2022. Something like that. So we're going to give it a shot, but this year we are crossing our fingers and hoping that we would be able to somewhere along the line this year meet in person with the public. But if failing which, the committee would then meet or make the presentation via video to council at a meeting in early 2022. And then that leaves the council rope to decide if it's going to be in January or February or what they foresee is when they want to put us on the slate. And we all understand that we need to do that before we get too close to a lame duck.
Yeah. Okay, and Bill, you had your hand up.
And I have totally forgotten what I was going to ask. So
Oh,
just
okay.
sorry.
Okay, Verna, go ahead.
If we are finished with the report, do we have to continue to meet on a monthly basis because of how it's been wonderful?
No. Okay. So I'm going to, oh, sorry, Bill.
No, and does that mean though that can our chair, I'm just asking, can our chair request a meeting if, let's say we get 2 more letters of support, can the chair allow a meeting to go ahead, let's say in August, if we get 2 more that are late, like to amend them? Or is that, once it's gone, it's gone? Is that the way it goes?
Yes, it'll be finished then. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Time out. Yeah.
Time out. We got to finish at some point in time. This is it. This meeting is it.
I think
Okay. Lou has a question. Go ahead, Lou.
In my personal answer to that, Bill, is that I don't need to have somebody read a letter to me. I can have it sent to me if it's that important, if we think it's important that we read everyone. But it's my feeling that you and Doug is going to incorporate those letters regardless, whether I like it or not. And when they come in, include them. I don't know if we need to meet to talk about them.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I think what we approve here as the committee is it. This is final. It's like time. We're done. We've had lots of chance. If more letters come in, too bad. Like, we can't keep on going back revising the report. The committee supports is going to, on this motion, we say, this is it. Here's the final report. We're done. And if more letters and stuff come in, I don't think it's really going to increase the impact of the committee, unless it was a letter that said, hey, we're going to donate $1 million to your museum. Well, that would certainly be a game changer. But then Bill and I would accommodate that in our presentation.
Okay. Amanda, you're making me smile, Doug. Okay, go ahead. Amanda, I'll turn it back to you.
Verna has a question there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Verna. You're down my bottom of my screen here. Sometimes my paper covers it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just an excuse. I'm wondering why we want to wait that long. Why would we not want to put it, if we couldn't do it in person, why couldn't we do it before, even if it was November or December? Because then it will hit into next following year's budget. Because one way or another, if you don't accept your that is, you may never get to give it in person anyway.
Yeah,
Because
go
that's
ahead, Doug.
basically what you're saying. It's either this way or it's going to be that way. It doesn't matter. So what's the difference in time frame?
Go ahead, Doug. You're starting to.
I don't know, Vernon, I think you're kind of splitting hairs there. Like, you know, now we're gonna talk about November or December, or, you know, like, it's like, heck fire. We'll do our best to get it this year. It doesn't affect the budget anyway, so that's a non-issue. So like, we'll try to get in this year. We'll hope and pray we get in this fall. But if we don't, then I think we gotta cut it and do a video presentation to make the best of it we can. Like, you know, you just can't drag this thing and keep deciding one way or the other, like heck fire, like end of the
I
year, if
I
we're in.
guess that's my concern. This is that we just keep dragging it on when we're already finished.
Yeah, but we're the ones dragging it out right now, and we want to make sure we have enough time that if there is a possibility to go in person, we do it in person. So like, I don't know, I just can't see to tweak it like that. Like, let's just do it. End of this year. If it happens, it happens. If it's gonna be January, February next year in person, then it is. And that's not gonna trash it. Like,
We hope things are gonna get
December's a
opened
bad,
up here.
yeah, December's a bad month actually to make a presentation. Well, like, potentially, like, it's Christmas and everything like that, so hope for the fall and hope for the best.
Yeah. Okay, Amanda, you're ready to go there?
Yep, I think we'll go line by line through the motion just to make everybody aware of the
Okay.
motion and to see if anybody wants to edit. I'm just opening it up here. Okay, so the motion that the North Huron Museum Committee hereby receives the North Huron Museum report and presentation presented at the June 10th, 2021 committee meeting, which is fine. And further that the committee hereby agrees that the North Huron Museum report and presentation be considered final and ready to present to council, subject to the addition of office space, tourism grants, volunteers, and the donation of the building being included in the verbal presentation and the addition of a slide deck with pictures in the PowerPoint presentation. Is that fine with everyone?
I don't see any. Yeah, thumbs up.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll move
sorry,
on.
Lou has a question. Go ahead, Lou.
Amanda, I'm not quite certain of the clarity in the reference to volunteerism. I'm not sure what you're saying there, or what I would be hearing if I were listening to that sentence being read to me in a presentation. What are you saying?
So these items are going to be included in the verbal presentation by Doug and Bill.
Well, then maybe I need to hear from Doug or Bill as to what they're going to say, but I just like a little clarity around what your thought is there.
Okay, Vicky had her hand up first, then I'll go to Doug.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, all I was going to add was that what Doug had indicated was that they were going to, I think it was Doug that indicated they were going to emphasize the point that it was going to be volunteer run. And Doug can comment on that himself, but that's what I understood was going to occur.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yep, no, I agree with Vicky. It's just, Those are just the things, Lou, that we just mentioned, or that I mentioned that we're gonna tweak in the presentation. I don't really want it nailed down to the perfect wording here at this time. What Amanda has written is fine with me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, nothing, okay, we'll go back to Amanda then.
Okay. The next, and further that staff be directed to inform the clerk that the museum committee has completed its mandate and are ready to appear as a delegation for the purposes of presenting this final report.
Okay, go ahead.
And further that the committee hereby recommends that the delegation not be scheduled until the next in-person council meeting in 2021. In the event that council is not able to meet in person in 2021, the committee agrees to present via virtual council meeting at a scheduled meeting in 2022.
Okay, Doug, go ahead.
All right. I think the not be scheduled until the next in-person council meeting, that was a bit of a point of contention when I talked to to Trevor's site, where we aren't necessarily going to go in the very first in-person that they have. It's up to them to schedule us. So it might be the second or the third in person. So not be scheduled until council begins to meet in person again, or something like that. Like, take out the word next, because we're not insisting that we be at the very first meeting. That's not where we're coming from.
Right.
So not be scheduled until council begins meeting in person.
Yep, so I'll read it again. And further that the committee hereby recommends that the delegation not be scheduled until council begins to meet in 2020 begins to meet in person in 2021. In the event that council is not able to meet in person in 2021, the committee agrees to present via virtual council meeting at a scheduled meeting in 2022.
That looks good with everybody, okay?
Okay, the next, and further that member Kyvenhoven and member Fernell be selected to present the delegation to council on behalf of the committee.
Everybody okay, it looks like? Okay. Okay, is that good enough, or do you want Amanda to, that everybody's happy with that? Oh, Doug, go ahead.
I will make the motion, yes.
Okay, have a seconder? Did I see Bill's hand there or no?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, and Bill? Okay, Amanda?
Okay, Verna Steffler,
Yes.
Betty Lou Call, Dixie Lee Arbuckle,
Yes.
David Wall,
Yes.
Doug Kyvenhoven,
Yes.
Joan Vandermeer,
Yes.
Bill Farnell,
Yes.
and Paul Heffer.
Yes,
So that carries 8-0.
okay,
High five, everybody. High five.
thank you. Thank you. Correspondence, none. Next steps, none. Scheduling of the next meeting will not be happening. I just like, before we go to number 11, I just want to say something. I want to say thank you to Vicky for the different phone calls I had from her and just finding things out for me, because this was very new to me. I just really appreciate that, Vicky. And Amanda, she was by my left-hand side, and then she wanted to go this way, but she's just like makes things look so smooth. All the things going underneath there trying to keep me in line, just like a duck in water. She just did it just so smoothly. I appreciate that, Amanda. But most of all, I just want to thank you, the museum committee. We started in August of 2019, and we had 15 meetings, and here we are today. It's really great. It has truly been a pleasure for me to be working with you. Just especially the thoughts, the plans, and most of all, the enthusiasm that you're showing and putting into this project. I'm just looking at the sheer number of hours that you people put in, like the Bills, the Dougs, Jones, Lou's, all the hours that you put in, Dixie Lee, like finding things out. I commend each of you. And that is Lou from the city of Marnock. Thank you very much. She's a rep from Wallanosh. We have Brock. He couldn't be with us at the tail end because of his health issues. He missed the last few meetings. I just want to thank him. And he was our representative from Blythe. And our representative from Wingham was Joan. I just appreciate all the work that she has. I know that she's got vast talents there of getting information. And I really appreciate that, Joan. And then we're going on with Dixie Lee and Verna hiding down in the corner there. Just thank you very much for you ladies. Just the extra work that you have done. It's been great. And now you men, Dave's disappeared on me again. Yeah, but that's all right. Thank you, Dave, and the work that you did with the barn dance, and just Bill and Doug. Well, we're going to hear a lot more from you before this, but I want to tell you, I just want to say thank you as your chair, and I tell you, you do have my support with this endeavor, and thank you very much. So we're going on to number 11. That's the adjournment. That the North Huron Museum Committee agree that there being no further business before the committee, the meeting hereby be adjourned at 2:49. Do I have a mover?
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Seconder? Joan. Thank you. Amanda?
Okay. Betty Lou Cole,
Yes.
Dixie Lee Arbuckle,
Yes.
David Ball,
Yes.
Doug Kyvenhoven,
Just got to give me a minute to pull myself together. I need yes.
thank you, Joan Vandermeer,
Yes.
Bill Farnell,
Yes.
Verna Steffler,
Yes.
and Paul Heffer.
Yes.
That carries 8-0.
Okay. Thank you very much, people. It's been truly a pleasure.
Lou's got a hand up.
It has been a pleasure working with you as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's been a great committee, but I think
Lou?
you've done an excellent job of chairing.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Lou, you have your hand up?
I know that this is not what this committee is for or about, but does anybody have a current address for Brock?
I